On March 29, President Biden, in his proclamation for Arab-American Heritage Month 2024, wrote, "This month, we honor the rich heritage, history, and hopes of the more than 3.5 million Arab Americans across our country who have helped write the American story and move our nation ever forward, embodying the truth that diversity has been, and always will be our country's greatest strength." I felt inspired by the US President's words and started writing this story about my Umayyad heritage. Before Arabs aspired to live the American dream, their ancestors had settled across North Africa. From the desert sands, they set sail and crossed the Pillars of Hercules that flanked the entrance to the Strait of Gibraltar, reaching the Iberian Peninsula in 711. Every Portuguese has Arab blood running through their veins, and I am proud of every drop. Autosomic analysis has shown that around 5% of North African DNA is found in the western half of the Iberian Peninsula, the highest proportion of African ancestry in Europe. During my 5-year stay in Brussels, working for the European Union, I lived close to Molenbeek, an underprivileged neighborhood known to be the center of Arabic culture in the city, and home to too many people of North African descent. Every day, I sat with my Arab neighbors on the tram or subway. Even in the days ensuing the Brussels bombings, I never once felt any animosity from the Arab community. They would greet me by saying, "Brother," or "My friend." As "Salam alaikum, peace be upon you," I'd reply, "Wa alaikum as salam, may peace be with you too." They'd ask, "My friend, come sit with me." I would ride the tram home next to them and hear their stories. I'd go to the market's fruit and vegetable stands on Saturdays. Arabs always had the best fresh products in town. I appeared to be Arab, and they would greet me as if I were one of their own. They always seemed astonished when I explained I couldn't speak the language and was, in fact, Portuguese. Some would laugh and go on speaking Arabic as if they thought I was joking. A diverse heritage according to Machiamo in the genetic history of the Spaniards and the Portuguese. Modern humans are thought to have reached Iberia from France approximately 28,000 years ago. The megalithic presence lasted for millennia, but around 2500 BC, Indo-Europeans originating from Central Europe moved further down the continent to Western Europe. My neighbors in Brussels couldn't have known how my ancestors were the offspring of a genetic melting pot. As far back as 2500 BC, the researchers found Iberians began living alongside people who moved in from Central Europe and carried recent genetic ancestry from the Russian steppe. Within a few hundred years, analyses showed the two groups had extensively interbred. Stephanie Dutchin, HMS, 2019. During the Iron Age, from Central Europe came the Celts, and, as they peacefully mingled with the local tribes, they founded the Great Celtiberia, around 3 BC. My beloved Lusitania was home to the bravest of those tribes. The Lusitanos were the last tribe to resist Roman occupation until their leader, Viriathus, was betrayed and slain. In this cultural melting pot up to the Arab invasion of the peninsula, there's no denying we are an ancestral nation with a high level of genetic diversity. The Visigoth state in the Iberian Peninsula after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, the western provinces were overwhelmed by Germanic tribes. The Visigoths merged with the former inhabitants of the Iberian Peninsula. They prospered until the beginning of the 8th century, when a succession conflict marked the end of an era of peaceful coexistence. In 710, Roderick, the son of a former king, seized control of the southern part of the kingdom in a coup orchestrated following the death of King Vitiza. As a linguist, etymology has always fascinated me. As the great Visigoth king, my name, Ruit, has a noble and strong lineage. It derives from the ancient Germanic name, Roderick, which was formed by the elements Rod, meaning famous, and Rick, meaning power. The variant Rui appeared in the medieval era, initially spelled as Roy or Roy, and evolved into Rui as a diminutive of Rodrigo. But I digress, so back to the story at hand. When King Roderick seized the south, Vitiza's son, Gilla, ruled the north. Looking to retake his father's domain, Gilla sought assistance from the North African lords. What he didn't know was that the Arabs had a hidden agenda. The Arab invasion of the Iberian Peninsula. General Tariq ibn Ziyad was the commander-in-chief of a Berber-dominated army that sailed across the Gibraltar Strait from Ceuta. The story goes that he first attempted to land on Algeciras, but failed. Despite the odds, he managed to land his troops ashore at the southern point of Gibraltar Rock, a name derived from the Arabic term Jabal al-Tariq, meaning the Mountain of Tariq. The Battle of Guadalete took place on July 31, 711. The Muslim army defeated Roderick's forces, and the Visigothic king was slain in combat. Tariq ibn Ziyad then captured the cities of Ceuta and Toledo, gradually enabling them to conquer most of the peninsula. The campaign lasted for several years. By approximately the 750s, the entire Al-Andalus region except for the Kingdom of Asturias to the north was under Arab rule. However, internal conflicts among the Iberian Muslims soon weakened the caliphate, making it susceptible to attacks from surrounding Christian kingdoms. In 1139, the future Portuguese King Afonso, a significant victory at the Battle of Ourique, began a series of Islamic defeats, reinforcing the Christian Reconquista. Although Muslim rule in the Iberian Peninsula eventually ended with the fall of the Kingdom of Granada to Isabella of Castile and Fernando II of Aragon, the invaders' cultural contributions persisted over the centuries. Despite our king, Afonso's scorched earth approach to retaking the southern part of the territory from the Arabs, Islamic knowledge of sciences like astronomy lingered. If it hadn't been for Arabic technical expertise in developing nautical instruments like the compass and astrolabe, Portugal would probably never have become the global empire that gave new worlds to the world. Remnants of Portugal's Arab heritage. If you've ever visited Portugal, you'll find many references to Arab culture. Many of our castles bear witness to their architecture. For instance, dating from the 10th century, Penedono Castle is one of the best examples, as seen by the distinctive towers and ramparts. There are also hundreds of Portuguese words of Arab origin, like Algeciras town, Aorta a typical dish, Aljustral, and the Guadiana River. Guad means river. Even our most touristic paradise, the Algarve, is reminiscent of when we were part of the great Arab Empire. The Padern Castle is another historical bastion I visited in the Algarve during my summer holidays in August 2023, when I was searching for my ancestral Arabic roots. The Romans conquered this ancient Lusitani citadel, and the Arabs built the stronghold around the 11th century. The castle eventually fell into Christian hands during the Portuguese Reconquista in 1248. What's peculiar about this fortification is that the only tower in the castle is on the outside of the keep. This type of tower, protruding from the wall and connected by a footbridge, remains a distinctive military design that provides enhanced watch capability, thus reinforcing the defense of the walls. The Albert Tower was widely used during Islamic rule in the southwest of the Iberian Peninsula. Of all the beautiful cities and villages in the Algarve, from all my travels there, I have to say Tavira has to be the one with the distinctive Arab heritage. Tabra means the hidden one in Arabic, and it holds many secrets and some treasures from its Islamic past, such as the Tavira vase, one of the most emblematic pieces of Portugal's Islamic heritage. Closing thoughts. Last year, I spent my summer holidays on the Algarve coast, and I had the chance to walk in the footsteps of my ancestors. I would sit on the patio of a restaurant, gaze at the white walls painted with dashes of blue, and see how close we were to our northern African neighbors across the Strait of Gibraltar. While enjoying my ice-cold orange juice made with our distinctively flavored Algarve oranges, I had to thank my Arab ancestors for bringing the orange tree from Persia to the Gharb al-Andalus. Walking the streets and speaking to the people, I could still feel the influence of Arab culture in modern-day Portugal, and every word in this story pays tribute to its legacy. Looking back, I now understand why my Moroccan neighbors in Belgium would call me brother. We have more in common than just our physical traits. If an ocean now divides us, there was a time when we would break bread at the same table.